We took a break from a motivational Monday last week, and we are back into this series on mastery, looking at the book by Leonard, who defines mastery as the mysterious process during which what is at first difficult becomes progressively easier and more pleasurable through practice. And if there's any sure route to success and fulfillment in life, it is to be found in the long term, essentially goalless process of mastery, to practice for the sake of the practice itself, not for the result. And that's why it makes sense for those of us who are trekking and all that, that we said the value is in the journey, not the destination. Okay. Morning, Bethany, HT, please one. Okay. So 2 weeks ago, we looked at chapter 11, okay, where Leonard talks about getting energy for mastery. The first four suggestions how to get more energy for mastery are: first, to maintain physical fitness. Okay, that's something that a lot of us are into. Okay. Secondly, to acknowledge the negative but accentuate the positive. Okay. Third is to tell the truth. Fourth, honor but don't indulge your dark side. This week we look at another three suggestions to getting energy for mastery. So the next suggestion is to set your priorities. Okay, set your priorities. George says before you can use your potential energy, you have to decide what you're going to do with it. And in making any choice, you face a monstrous fact: to move in one direction, you must forego all others. To choose one goal is to forsake a very large number of other possible goals. Okay, so that's his perspective. Okay, when go all in. When you're not clear about your main purpose in life or what you're really called or gifted to do, you just want to keep your options open. Yeah. But it's a problem because how can any one option, any one goal match up to the possibilities contained in all the others? That's why people keep options. You that's why some people, I guess, never get married, because how can one woman satisfy me for the so they keep looking. Okay. But if you keep all your options open, you can't do a damn thing. Okay. This troubling equation applies to everything from lifetime goals to what you're going to do in the next 10 minutes. Should you clean out that messy closet, or start reading that new book, or write that letter? So that's what Leonard says about the uh, need to keep set your priorities. Well, sometimes this is my okay. I'm sharing my thoughts now. Okay, sometimes you have no choice but to juggle many balls. Okay, I was asked some time ago to share to a reservist national service audience when I was a guards commander about how I juggled the many balls I had to keep up in the air. So at that time, there was my career, okay, which was in financial planning. Okay, uh, I had parents, I had a wife, I had children, I had God, I had my own health, I had my physical fitness, particularly as a commander of an elite army force. I had my regular national service responsibilities, in camp training and all this. I had my own retirement plans, which were the new skin business on top of my financial planning business. Okay. I had friends to maintain. I had my own personal development. I had my hobbies. When you count it all, I had 12 balls. And could any of them be dropped? No, they couldn't. I had to juggle all these. So it really wasn't a matter of foregoing all for one. Okay, it was a matter of juggling. And this is why, I think this is a clue why mastery is that long-term, lifelong journey of the slight edge. Okay, we can't put everything into one. We've got to juggle many balls and just have them improving, on a constant basis. Like slight edge philosophy of success, little improvements. So George Leonard points out that an affluent, consumer-oriented way of life multiplies the choices that face you. Television makes it even more complicated. By offering endless possibilities, it tempts you to choose none, to sit staring in endless wonder, to become comatose. Indecision leads to inaction, which leads to low energy, depression, despair. In terms of energy, he says it's better to make a wrong choice than none at all. Ultimately, liberation comes through the acceptance of limits. You can't do everything, but you can do one thing, and then another, and then another. You might begin listing your priorities for the day, for the week, for the month, for a lifetime. Start modestly. List everything you want to do today or tomorrow. Set priorities by dividing the items into A, B, and C categories. At least accomplish the A items. Try the same thing with long-term goals. Priorities do shift and you can change them at any time, but simply getting them down in black and white adds clarity to your life, and clarity creates energy. Okay. So this is what George Leonard says, and you can see this is what successful people do. Uh, Alan Nagel introduces uh, the definite purpose statement, which is really writing down your goals black and white and then reciting them so that you're clear about them. Okay, so that's about setting priorities. Next suggestion or next tip to getting energy is to make commitments. Okay, take action. The journey of mastery is ultimately goalless. You take the journey for the journey itself. But George Leonard points out there are interim goals along the way. The first of which is simply starting the journey. Okay, starting the journey. And there's nothing quite so immediately energizing on any journey as the intermediate goal of a tough, firm deadline. As is well known to anyone who has faced an opening night curtain, a business deal closing date, or a definite press time for an article or book, or in our case, you know, a limited time offer at a particular time. It just, you know, gets us energized, rush to that deadline. Okay. George says at his Aikido school, a notice is placed on the bulletin boards 4 times a year asking qualified students to sign up for ranking exams. Some students sign immediately, while others wait until a few days before the exam. It's instructive to watch the immediate surge of clarity and energy during training that comes from the simplest act of writing one's name on a notice. Those who sign late suffer from having less time in which to enjoy the energy that flows from commitment. And those of us who have, signed up for a mountain climb maybe 9 months ago, suddenly the moment that you signed and you committed, paid a deposit, you know, you start thinking about training and you start actually getting into action. That's the magic. Okay. So, like George says, the gift of an externally imposed deadline isn't always available. Sometimes you need to set your own. Okay, that's why being an entrepreneur actually is very, very difficult, because you don't have a boss that says you got to come in at what time, you got to do this by when. You've got to decide for yourself. Okay. But then George says you have to take it seriously. So he says you need to set your own deadline, because an externally imposed deadline isn't available. But you have to set your own and you have to take it uh, seriously. And one way to do this is to make it public. Okay, tell people who are important in your life. The firmer the deadline, the harder it is to break, and the more energy it confers. Above all, move and keep moving. Don't go off half cocked. Okay. Take time for wise planning, but don't take forever. Whatever you can do or dream, you can begin it. Goethe wrote. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. That's just the magical thing of taking that first step. Sometimes we can't take this first step because we don't see the big picture. But taking that first step uh, is just such a huge thing to get it going. And so the third and the last suggestion for getting energy for mastery is get on the path of mastery and stay on it. Okay, get on the path of mastery and stay on it. George Leonard says, over the long haul, there's nothing like the path of mastery to lead you to an energetic life. Okay, there's nothing like the path of mastery to lead you to an energetic life. A regular practice not only elicits energy but tames it. Without the firm underpinnings of a practice, deadlines can produce violent swings between frantic activity and collapse. You know, as I read what George says, I think of well, some of the people here. I think of Bethany. You know, you see how energetic she is because she's got this mission. Okay, she knows clearly what she obviously knows clearly what she wants to accomplish, and every time you talk to her, you know, she's full of energy. Every time you look at her Facebook, she's full of energy, um, and that's because she's committed to a path of mastery. So, so it's easy to see, you know, why we want to get on the path of mastery. Okay, but this seventh suggestion, okay, this seventh suggestion is get on the path of mastery and stay on it. It says and stay on it. So you're actually going to go through homeostasis. Okay, your friends and loved ones are going to make it difficult for you. You're going to get tired of staying on the plateau. You're going to fall off that plateau. Mastery is about building resilience to stay on the path of mastery, and this resilience is actually built by going through tough times. George Leonard says, on the master's journey, you can learn to put things in perspective, to keep the flow of energy going during low moments as well as high. You also learn that you can't hoard energy. You can't build it up by not using it. Adequate rest is, of course, part of the master's journey, but unaccompanied by positive action, rest may only depress you. Okay, so you know I'm a firm believer in rest. Okay, I mean, especially as an athlete, we really need to rest. Okay, um, to repair the body, to have it go stronger. But George puts up an important point here. When you don't have action, actually rest will lead you to depression. So those of us who say, hey, let's take a break because I'm not feeling mentally good, it's actually uh, be very, very careful. Okay, because one day becomes one week becomes a month. Okay? It might well be, in fact, that much of the world's depression and discontent, and perhaps even a good share of the pervasive malaise that leads to crime and war, can ultimately be traced to our unused energy, our untapped potential. People whose energy is flowing don't need to take a drug, don't need to commit a crime or go to a war in order to feel fully awake and alive. There's enough constructive, creative work for everybody with plenty left over. All of us can increase our energy starting now. That's what George Leonard says. Now, this thing about feeling depressed when you're not in action, Jackie actually notices this about me after seeing me go through my insurance and my new skin careers. When I'm tired and low in energy, she says it's because I'm not getting results. Okay. So how to get results? Take action. And Chris one Chris one's example last weekend was good. She's working on the weekend. Okay, weekend is the best time to work when you're in sales. Okay, she's working on the weekend because the LTO wave 2 is there. She wants to get 40 sets. Okay, so she's taking action. Friday, nothing. Saturday, nothing. Sunday, whole nothing. And then towards the end of Sunday, 3 sets. Okay, how to get results? Take action. Okay. So that's all I have to share today on getting energy for mastery. Next week we're going to look at some pitfalls along the path of mastery. Okay, as we go through that, many of you are going to be able to say because of your experience, aha, I know this, he understands this. Okay,